Welcome back to Droanacharya IAS YouTube channel. You're watching daily current analysis covering 29th June 2022. इस वीडियो लेक्चर में हम आज के इम्पॉर्टेंट आर्टिकल्स कवर करेंगे. आज की इस वीडियो में हम सबसे पहले एक रिपोर्ट डिस्कस करेंगे विच इज़ रिलीज्ड बाय नीति आयोग. द टाइटल ऑफ दिस रिपोर्ट इज़ इंडियाज़ ब्लूमिंग गिग एंड प्लेटफॉर्म इकोनॉमी. तो इस वीडियो में हम इस रिपोर्ट की हाईलाइट डिस्कस करेंगे. देन विल टॉक अबाउट व्हाट इज़ दिस गिग इकोनॉमी, व्हाट इज़ प्लेटफॉर्म कंपनी. इन बेसिक्स को हम यहाँ पे क्लियर करेंगे. आफ्टर दैट विल टॉक अबाउट द इश्यूज़ रिगार्डिंग द जुवेनाइल जस्टिस अमेंडमेंट एक्ट 2021 and then we'll talk about the performance grading index for districts. Then we'll see water hyacinth, it is the species in news, and then finally we talk about Zika virus. So let's begin with it. So let's start with our first article. So Niti Aayog recently released a report with title India's Blooming Gig and Platform Economy. सबसे पहले तो ये रिपोर्ट नीति आयोग ने रिलीज़ की है. अब यहाँ पे दो बड़ी चीज़ें आ रही हैं. एक तो गिग सेक्टर की बात हो रही है, गिग इकोनॉमी की बात हो रही है. इस रिपोर्ट में गिग सेक्टर को लेकर ये पॉसिबिलिटीज़, इंसाइट्स दिए गए हैं. कौन सा रोड मैप आगे फॉलो किया जा सकता है फॉर फर्दर रिसर्च एंड एनालिसिस, वो इस रिपोर्ट में हाईलाइट किया गया है. मेनली इस रिपोर्ट में एस्टिमेट किया गया है दैट अराउंड 77 लाख वर्कर्स दे आर एंगेज्ड इन गिग इकोनॉमी इन 2020 एंड 2021. सो लेट्स कवर द मेजर हाइलाइट्स ऑफ दिस रिपोर्ट. तो सबसे पहले गिग वर्कर कौन होता है इसके बारे में समझते हैं. तो नीति आयोग की इस रिपोर्ट में ही गिग वर्कर को डिफाइन किया गया है एज समवन हु एंगेजेस इन इनकम अर्निंग एक्टिविटीज़ outside of a traditional employer-employee relationship as well as in the informal sector. मतलब जो एक ट्रेडिशनल तरीका जो चल रहा था कि इनकम को अर्न किया जा रहा है, एम्प्लॉयर है, एम्प्लॉय रिलेशनशिप है, ये इसके अलावा आउटसाइड दिस रिलेशन एंड इवन इट इज़ नॉट इवन इनफॉर्मल सेक्टर, जैसे कि people who are working with Ola, Uber, Dunzo, Swiggy, Zomato, Urban Company, इन प्लेटफॉर्म्स की जो वर्कर्स हैं दे आर बेसिकली द गिग वर्कर्स. तो गिग वर्कर्स को एक न्यू एज इकोनॉमी भी बोल देते हैं. अगर बेनिफिट्स देखें तो इट क्रिएट्स जॉब ऑन द मास लेवल, यू हैव फ्रीडम एंड फ्लेक्सिबिलिटी ऑफ वर्क, देयर इज़ ईजी एक्सेस टू सर्विसेज, कंज्यूमर्स को भी प्राइस का एडवांटेज रहता है. तो दिस न्यू एज इकोनॉमी, गिग वर्कर्स की इस रिपोर्ट में बात की गई है. सबसे पहले अगर हम गिग सेक्टर के साइज़ की बात करें तो एज पर दिस रिपोर्ट 47% ऑफ द गिग वर्क इज़ करंटली इन मीडियम स्किल्ड जॉब्स एंड 22% इज़ इन हाई स्किल्ड जॉब्स एंड 31% इज़ इन लो स्किल्ड जॉब्स. अब जैसे कि कोई ड्राइवर है या सेल्स पर्सन है, they basically account for more than 52% of the gig workers in 2019 and 20. So जब इन वर्कर्स को इंडस्ट्रीज़ क्लासीफाई करती हैं, सो अकॉर्डिंग टू दिस रिपोर्ट 26.6 लाख गिग वर्कर्स दे आर बेसिकली इन्वॉल्व इन रिटेल, ट्रेड एंड सेल्स इन फाइनेंशियल ईयर 20 एंड अबाउट 13 lakh they were engaged in the transportation sector. And there were 6.2 lakh person, those who were engaged in manufacturing, and 6.3 lakh who were engaged in finance and insurance activities. तो यहाँ पे आपने इन डाटास को याद नहीं करना, you just need to have an idea about the size of this gig sector. अब जॉब जनरेशन पोटेंशियल अगर हम देखें तो इंडिया की जो गिग वर्कफोर्स है, it is estimated to be around 77 lakh in 2020 and 2021. And ये भी expected है that by 2029 and 2030 this will grow to 2.35 crore. So इसे even ये भी कहा जा रहा है that this could be the fourth industrial revolution. That this platform labor जो हमारे पास आ रही है, this is the fourth industrial revolution. ये टर्म भी गिग सेक्टर के लिए यूज़ की जा रही है. So what are the challenges for the gig workers? देखें, सबसे पहली बात ये है कि ये जो गिग वर्कर्स जो हैं, जो ये गिग सेक्टर है, गिग इकोनॉमी है, दिस इज़ बेसिकली एन अर्बन फिनोमिना। ये एक अर्बन फैक्टर है क्योंकि इंटरनेट, डिजिटल टेक्नोलॉजी, ये सब रिस्ट्रिक्टिव फैक्टर्स में आ जाते हैं। ये दीज आर मोर असेसिबल इन द अर्बन एरियाज। इसीलिए जो गिग वर्क है, गिग वर्क सेक्टर जो है, ये भी मेनली आपको अर्बन एरिया में ही मिलेगा। Along with this, the gig sector includes job insecurity as well as income insecurity. क्योंकि जो gig workers हैं, they are not employees. They do not receive income security or any social protection. And इसीलिए safety issues भी यहाँ पे आ जाते हैं। Occupational safety से लेकर health risk जो हैं, suppose road safety, theft, physical assault, discrimination, harassment, इन सब इश्यूज से जो गिग प्लेटफॉर्म है वो डील नहीं करता। दिस इज एम्पलीफाइड फॉर अ विमेन इन ऐप बेस्ड टैक्सी वर्क एंड डिलीवरी, जो और भी ज़्यादा एम्पलीफाई हो जाता है। देन इफ वी टॉक अबाउट वर्क प्रेशर, सो वर्कर्स दे आर मे बी अंडर द प्रेशर ड्यू टू एल्गोरिदम मैनेजमेंट प्रैक्टिसेस एंड परफॉर्मेंस इवैल्यूएशन ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ द रेटिंग्स। देन जो रेगुलेटरी फ्रेमवर्क है इंडिया के अंदर, there's no framework in which you see the balance of the flexibility which is offered by the platform, but will also ensure the social security of the workers. तो अभी right now ये जो work है, this is in grey area. Right now we don't have any legislature, any framework in which we can deal with this. So in this report, there were certain recommendations for the gig sector. First one is about the social security. We need a code on social security. So for government, civil society, businesses, non-profit, Niti Aayog has suggested that there should be universal coverage of platform workers through the code on social security. So as it is written in the code on the social security, the recommendation also includes social security measures to gig workers and their families. It also suggests that there should be paid sick leave, health access, insurance year-round, occupational disease and work accident insurance, retirement and pension plans, and some other contingency benefits. There is also this boost to the platform industry. Niti Aayog also suggests that there should be an initiative that need to be launched to accelerate the platformization. कि इस तरह की स्कीम्स आनी चाहिए, जैसे कि स्टार्टअप इंडिया, वी नीड टू मॉडल इट ऑन सच स्कीम्स कि जो प्लेटफॉर्माइजेशन है ये और ज़्यादा एक्सलरेट हो सके। इट आस्क फॉर रेगुलेशंस टू बी स्ट्रीमलाइंड एंड सिंप्लीफाइड, licensing requirements for the aggregators to be reconsidered. It also suggests that there should be the entry barriers in the mobility-based platform companies be eased. अब जो प्लेटफॉर्म इंडस्ट्री के साथ जो बिजनेसेस जुड़े हुए हैं, तो वी बेसिकली सी कि इन दिस प्लेटफॉर्म इंडस्ट्री इट बेसिकली एम्स टू सपोर्ट द बिजनेसेस एंड एंटरप्रेन्योर्स जो कि इन प्लेटफॉर्म से जुड़े हुए हैं. It suggests extending interest-free business advances, delayed payback period to protect the gig workers, self-employed persons, small businesses जो कि platform से जुड़े हुए हैं. Then here also comes the hyper-local deliveries. It asks for widespread adoption of hyper-local deliveries using two-wheelers to be encouraged. And then comes the important aspect, that is the role of women in the gig economy. See, it basically recommends that companies, they carry out gender sensitization and accessibility awareness programs for workers and their families, particularly to promote the rights of women and persons with disabilities. This report, Niti Aayog also recommends that the skill gaps need to be bridged by carrying out assessment periodically and partnering with the business platforms for on-board skilled women and persons with disabilities. It also suggests making aggregate data public to enable decision making. तो mainly gig economy के बारे में आपको आइडिया होना चाहिए इस आर्टिकल से, that a particular individual worker who is carrying out tasks for the clients through intermediation of a platform, attributing those tasks and taking care of the transfer of the payment task by task. This is gig economy. So these platforms, they act as an intermediary. The intermediation. The gig economy is based on temporary or the freelance jobs. It basically involves connecting with clients or customer through an online platform. And therefore, the gig economy can benefit workers, businesses and consumers by making work more adaptable to the need of the moment and according to the demand for a flexible lifestyle. So here there is time flexibility. The workers who are operating in gig economy, they're allowed to work any of the hours they desired, and along with that there is income flexibility as well. It is an interestingly attractive market because of the flexibility that it allows individuals to earn extra income. Then this platform company, it is a business that basically creates that fundamental technology upon which other companies are born and scaled, like the companies like Apple, Google, Amazon, Alibaba. They have used the model to grow exponentially and grab the significant market share from the established firms. So platform, they represent a big change in a way that industries have traditionally been organized. So this platform company offers flexibility and choice of labor to all the workers in general and women in particular, empowering them to monetize their idle assets when and wherever they want. So therefore it becomes an attractive opportunity for women and persons with disabilities. Women are more likely to take up the platform jobs after their education and marriage. Therefore, India's gig sector, it is estimated that 56% of new employment in India is being generated by the gig economy companies across both the blue collar as well as white collar workforce. The gig economy can serve up to 90 million jobs in non-farm sectors in India, with the potential to add 1.25% to GDP over the long term. So as India is moving towards its stated goal of becoming a $5 trillion economy by 2025, the gig economy will be a major building block in bridging the income and unemployment gap. Moving ahead, our next article is important from GS paper 2 point of view. It is about the issues with Juvenile Justice Amendment Act 2021. So recently, experts have noted that the Juvenile Justice Act amendment could make it harder to report abuse in child care institutions. So there is section 86 of Juvenile Justice Act, and the amendment under challenge is 1 to the section 86 only, and according to which crimes under special laws, with punishment between 3 to 7 years, have been reclassified as non-cognizable. So these crimes will include cruelty to children by CCI staff, or the employment of children for begging, using children for smuggling or selling intoxicant substances or narcotics, sale and procurement of children, exploitation of child employees, use of child by militant and other groups for illegal purposes, and giving children intoxicating and psychotropic substances or narcotics. So here, according to the Code of Criminal Procedure, once the crime are rendered non-cognizable, the police will be able to register an FIR only on the directions of the magistrate. So therefore, a complainant will have to approach the concerned magistrate to start the process. And that is what the issue which is cited by the experts. So reporting the case of abuse and cruelty by employees or person in charge in the child care institution is not easy now. Victims themselves are not able to report them directly because due to imbalance in power. Because more such crimes are reported to police by parents or the child rights body or that the child welfare committees. Now the parents of these children, who are say mostly daily wage workers, they are unaware that how to report crimes to police or not. So the child welfare committees, their first instinct into most cases is to talk and settle without escalating the matter to the police. Therefore, if we talk about FIR, the first information report, the current system of reporting crimes which are committed by the staffs of the child care institutions already causes delay in registering FIR, and even sometimes FIR is not being registered at all. So district child officers, once they got to know about such case either through the NGOs or the children or the parents meeting, they were convened with the victim in the presence of the district child protection officer, following which the child welfare committee and the district child protection officer will decide whether the matter is needed to be reported to the police or not. So this is what the experts are saying, that the amendment is encouraging such thinking, and this will discourage officials from reporting such instances to the police. Therefore, the experts are saying that these amendments will make it harder to report abuse in the child care institutions. So here it becomes important to know about the Juvenile Justice Care and Protection of Children Amendment Bill 2021. So it basically empowers the DM, district magistrate, including additional district magistrate, to issue the adoption orders under the section 61 of the Juvenile Justice Act, to ensure that there is speedy disposal of cases and enhance the accountability. And now the DM have been further empowered to ensure that there is smooth implementation and garner synergized efforts in the favor of the children in the distressed conditions. So here, any child care institution shall be registered after considering the recommendations of the DM. Along with this, now DM will independently evaluate the functioning of district child protection unit, child welfare committees, juvenile justice board, specialized juvenile police units, and even the child care institutions and etc. And here if we talk about the child welfare committee, so in this amendment bill, the eligibility parameters for the appointment of the child welfare committee members have now been redefined. There is criteria for disqualification of the child welfare committee member. It has been introduced now to ensure that only the person who is capable of rendering quality service with requisite competence and integrity are appointed to the child welfare committee. Also presently there are 3 categories: petty, serious and heinous, which are defined under the Act, which are usually referred while considering the case of the children in conflict with the law. However, it has been observed that some of the offences do not strictly fall under any of these categories. So it has been decided that offences where maximum sentence is more than 7 years of imprisonment, but no minimum sentence has been prescribed, a minimum sentence of fewer than 7 years is provided, that shall be treated as the serious offence within this Act. So these were the amendment bill of 2021. It is important for you to know about the Juvenile Justice Care and Protection of Children Act 2015. So see, this act was introduced and passed in Parliament in 2015, and this replaced the Juvenile Delinquency Law and Juvenile Justice Care and Protection of Children Act 2000. It replaced it. एंड इस एक्ट के थ्रू हमारा जो यूनाइटेड नेशंस कन्वेंशन ऑन द राइट ऑफ चिल्ड्रन के जो ऑब्जेक्टिव्स हैं उनको अचीव किया गया. दिस वाज रैटिफाइड बाय इंडिया in 1992. It allows the trials of juveniles in conflict with the law in the age group of 16 and 18 as adult in case where crimes were to be determined. The nature of crime, whether the juvenile should be tried as a minor or a child, was to be determined by the Juvenile Justice Board. This act streamlined the adoption procedure for the orphans, abandoned and surrendered children. And this introduced foster care in India. The existing Central Adoption Resource Authority has been given the status of statutory body to enable it to perform its function more efficiently. The law has also made the provision that while adopting a child, priority is given to disabled children and physically and financially incapable children. Special provisions has been made to tackle child offenders who were committing the heinous offence in the age group of 16 to 18 years. Here, the Juvenile Justice Board is given the option to transfer the cases of heinous offences by such child to the Children Court or the Court of Session after conducting the preliminary assessment. Moving ahead, our next article is about Performance Grading Index for districts. So recently, Ministry of Education has released the Performance Grading Index for districts for 2019 and 20. So basically during pandemic, the students in around 61% of the district of our country had very little exposure to digital learning. And the reason was limited availability of computer, internet facilities, or the teacher who trained to handle technological tools in the school. Therefore, the schools all across India performed poor under the category of digital learning. So in this report, we have district-wise performance of the states, and as many as 180 districts they scored less than 10% on the digital learning, and there were 146 who scored for 11 to 20%. Then there were 125 who scored between 21 to 30%. So these digital-wise performance, district-wise performance on digital learning, this was drawn on the basis of number of schools with computers, internet facility, student to computer ratio, and percentage of teachers who were trained to use and teach through computers. And in terms of learning outcomes, no district scored below 10%, 12 scored between 11 to 20%, whereas 309 districts scored between 51 to 60%. In this report, we can clearly see a rural-urban divide. Districts in cities like Chandigarh and Delhi, they scored between 25 to 35 out of 50. Whereas places like Bihar's Araria or Kishanganj, they were scored as low as 2. Backward districts like Assam, South Salmara and Manchkamar and Tripura's Dehlai, they scored 1 only. So we can clearly see a rural-urban divide here. And Centre has also released the state-wise the Performance Grading Index for the year 2019 and 20 in June 2021, in which Chandigarh and the state of Punjab, Tamil Nadu, Kerala, they were the best performers in the index. And then there is effect of COVID-19 as well. That was also highlighted here. The changes that were required in our existing system in terms of the adoption of the digital learning as part of the mainstream learning to continue education at home. So this necessitated a need for domain on digital learning in the performance grading index, which was not there before. Therefore, if we talk about the performance grading index for districts, so the function was to assess the performance of school education system at the district level by creating an index for comprehensive analysis. So in this, all districts in school education, they were given grade according to their performance. The implementation was done by Department of School Education and Literacy. And the data, they were filled by the districts through an online portal. And the grades, they graded districts into 10 grades. The highest achievable grade is Daksh, which is for districts who score more than 90% of total points in that category or overall. And the lowest grade is called Akanshi 3, which scores up to 10% of the total points. The objective was to help the districts to prioritize their area for intervention in school education and therefore reach the highest grade. Here the parameters that were used were, they were around 600 points, which were across 83 indicators, and they were further grouped in 6 categories like outcome, effective classroom transaction, infrastructure facilities and student entitlements, school safety and child protection, digital learning and governance process. These were the parameters that was used here. So, if we talk about the significance of it, it will help the state education department to identify their gaps at the district level. And therefore, there could be the improvement in their performance in a decentralized manner, because this is the indicator-wise performance grading index score. So it shows the area where district needs to improve. So here you see the sectoral achievements. And also it reflects the healthy competition, it reflects the relative performance of all the districts in a uniform scale, which will encourage the districts to perform better. Moving ahead, our next news article is about a species in news, which is water hyacinth. So recently, water hyacinth was used to make an eco-friendly product, and it will generate employment in rural West Bengal. Therefore, water hyacinth becomes important. It is scientifically known as, Ichnoria carpices mart. It is basically an aquatic weed which is very common in the water bodies across South Asia, including India. Always remember this, that water hyacinth is not indigenous species. It was introduced in India during British colonial rule as an ornamental aquatic plant from South America. The plant produces beautiful purple flowers and it has a very high aesthetic value. Along with this plant can be used as a biofertilizer in some organic agricultural practices. It is said that this plant is a good, phytoremediation species. So it has this ability to trap and remove the toxic metabolites and harmful heavy metals from the water. But more research needs to be conducted to find a suitable use of this notorious weed, because ultimately it's a weed, aquatic weed. There are some concerns related to water hyacinth. First of all, it is very obnoxious weed. It has been suffocating the surface freshwater sources like rivers, rivulets, stream, ponds, dams, lakes and bogs. So it makes that water body unsuitable for commercial fishing or transportation or recreation wherever we have water hyacinth. So it is an expensive and very labor intensive process to remove this weed from time to time. And this water hyacinth has become a serious problem plant for the ecosystem as well. This plant is a very prolific vegetable matter producer, and it has that ability to choke out any closed water body at an astonishing rate. It cuts off the sunlight as well as it reduces the oxygen level in the water, and it makes it unfit for the commercial use. Moving ahead, our next article is about Zika virus. So recently, scientists at the National Institute of Virology, Pune, they have raised an alarm about the spread of Zika virus across the states and UTs. So this is a vector-borne flavivirus. It is basically transmitted by the infected Aedes mosquito, mainly Aedes aegypti and Aedes albopictus. And this virus was first isolated from a rhesus monkey in Uganda, in the Zika forest, mainly near the western shore of Lake Victoria in 1947. So it is a mosquito-borne virus which spread in many African and Asian countries, but it caused no harm. If we talk about the symptoms are generally mild. It includes fever, rash, conjunctivitis, muscle and joint pain, malaise and headache. The transmission, it can be transmitted from mother to fetus during pregnancy, and therefore it can result in microcephalia, which is smaller than the normal head size. And there could be other congenital malformation in the infant, which is collectively referred to as congenital Zika syndrome. So it can also be transmitted sexually. There is no treatment available for Zika virus infection or the associated diseases of it. So that is all for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you all in my next one. Thank you.